Hey everybody, I'm Rob Freeman and welcome back to Securing the Built Environment. This is episode 145, and in this episode we are talking about the recent Kaspersky antivirus software ban in the United States. And in this video we're going to talk about three things. What is the Kaspersky ban all about? Number two, why is it important to us as Americans and users of software? And number three, what can you do and how can you respond to threats like this and other threats in the future? So what is the Kaspersky ban all about? Well, it's actually a story that starts back probably before 2017, but really officially started in 2017 when the US government came out with a mandate that no Kaspersky software products were able to be used. They were banned by use of all government officials and government services. And then there were a series of incremental additional bans that came out by the government, and that culminated with a decision by the Department of Commerce, the Bureau of Industry and Security, in June of 2024, where they said that Kaspersky was a national security threat and it was a danger to US citizens, and that the company would be banned from providing any software services or products in the United States. And that took effect in September, so just about a month ago. And so users had a little bit of time to find replacement software. Below this video, I link to an article where I go into you can read a list of all of the companies that are banned by the United States, including Kaspersky and other companies like Huawei. And then you can also find a list of alternatives to Kaspersky if you need antivirus software. So the Kaspersky ban is a result of the government determining that the Russian government is in control of Kaspersky, essentially, and has access to it and can control what Kaspersky does with respect to how the software works, what data it collects, where that data goes, and how the company operates. So for instance, Kaspersky could, according to Russian instructions, not send updates to dangerous malware out to its customers, or it could simply get access to all the information that Kaspersky has, because by default, when you use a antivirus software, you have to, in order to get it to function, you have to give it full access to your entire computer to be able to scan for viruses. And so when you are giving a company full access to everything on your computer, I mean, our computers are essentially identical, almost like digital twins of us in some ways. You're giving over a lot of control and putting a lot of trust in that company. So that's number one. Number two is, why is this important? Well, in a prior video, I talked about something called a supply chain attack. And a supply chain attack is something that happens where you have a product that is an amalgamation or a composite of multiple different products, or it has a value chain that is complex and relies on lots of different suppliers to result in the final product. And software really follows this similar type of path today. So you think of a software provider like a cloud software provider or other type of software, and that software, you think of it as being provided by one company, but it's often a composite of multiple types of software that come from different places. And so, or you could have a software that is being provided by a company overseas that may not have the same interests that we have, or its security interests, national security interests may not be aligned with ours. Or you could have a company that starts off as American and has the same values, or is required to follow the same rules and regulations as an American company, but then the company is acquired, and then say they're absorbed by a foreign company, and they no longer have to follow US rules, or they just choose not to follow them. And so it's important to us because now what it means, for better or worse, is that we have to ask ourselves, where does this software come from? Who owns the company? Who controls the company? And what does it mean for us when we are essentially giving over so much of access to ourselves and our records and data over to a company that, in the example of antivirus software, has to have access to basically everything on your computer. And so that's a pretty important thing to know. So we have to ask ourselves, can we trust these companies? In the case of Kaspersky, we obviously can't. So number 3, how do you respond knowing that supply chain attacks are a real concern today? What should you do about using antivirus software, or really anything today? I mean, we have a supply chain attack risk in pretty much everything from Internet of Things devices to connected vehicles. The cars that we ride around in today are basically mobile computers that are collecting data with telematics and internet connectivity. They rely on multiple suppliers for the devices and the chips that run on them. We have the appliances that we use, our modems and routers that may come from overseas. And then obviously things like the software that we use, which is what we're talking about here, so antivirus. So what can you do? How can you respond? The first thing you can do is, and the link below this video is a link to an article where I can provide a list of the companies that are banned by the United States, as well as some antivirus alternatives that are based here in the United States that, from what I can tell, don't have any foreign influence or problems with respect to their operations and haven't been flagged for that. There are several reputable antivirus companies that you could choose to use. So that's one thing you should do, is if you're using Kaspersky, obviously replace that, get that off your computer, and find an alternative that you think you can trust from maybe an American provider. Or what you could just, sort of have a heart-to-heart with yourself and say, do I really want to pay incur an incremental cost for antivirus software that's going to demand by default to have access to my entire computer, when I could just use, if you're using a PC or a Mac, you could just use Windows Defender or the antivirus software that I talked about in a prior video that Mac offers. That Mac has its own antivirus software and countermeasures for keeping your software and your computers safe in the Mac environment, the Apple environment. So those are things that you should do. Obviously, if you're choosing to use a antivirus software, you need to do a little bit of research about the company that you're using, just to be on the paranoid side about anytime you use software from anywhere that you find on the internet that is from a startup. Unfortunately, even if a company is reputable, that company could get acquired, as I mentioned, and they could end up in the hands of a company that is either lazy or lax in their security, doesn't understand cybersecurity. Most startups don't, unfortunately, have very good cybersecurity processes within them, and they typically will only find the motivation to become disciplined with respect to cybersecurity when something bad happens, when they have a breach or they have a hack or something results in the users of that service getting the short end of the stick. And it seems like we're always the ones that end up getting harmed. It's never the companies. They get a slap on the wrist or 2 or 3 days and the furor dies down and the news cycle picks up on some other scam or something else going on that takes our attention, and we forget about being screwed over only a few days ago by this company that we're paying money to. So so unfortunately we have our work cut out for us with respect to doing some more research about the companies that we work with. But it's important to be paranoid today because of the interconnected nature of everything that is internet connected today. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Kaspersky is, the situation there is something that we should all be concerned about, and hope this video is helpful. If you found it helpful, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. And thanks again for watching, and have a great day.